All right, and welcome into the Betting Pros College Football Show. In this episode, we'll be breaking down the top 5 college football sports betting strategies for beginners, because while few things compare to sweating out some CFB wagers, it's also the wild, wild west with 136 FBS teams in action across 10 conferences that can really rake you over the coals if you aren't careful. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and I'm joined by my colleague, Scott Bogman. Boggs, I'm very much looking forward to hearing your top strategies today for beginners, because this is a topic I certainly could have spent a little more time on myself when getting into gambling early on.
Yeah, I mean, if you're new to college football betting, and I think I said this in the last show, you're like a kid in the candy store. There's 75 games to bet most weekends, right? There's so many games to pick from, and you probably have strong opinions on a lot of them. So, especially if you've been watching college football for a while. So, these are some strategies to help you rein it in early.
Yes.
And I don't think I'm breaking any news here. These are pretty, they are for beginners, but I think sometimes it's good to just reiterate and re-listen to some of these tips as well.
100%, man. And before we get going, shout out to everyone who's hanging out with us either on the Betting Pros YouTube channel or the audio feed. The easiest free way to support us is give this video a thumbs up if you enjoy this type of content. Also, make sure you're subscribing to the channel so you don't miss a moment of CFB betting coverage this season. And let's go ahead and jump into our top 5 college football betting strategies for beginners, starting at the top with number 5, Boggs. What do you have?
Bet early. I think that's the biggest one that people miss out on a lot, is because, we talked about it in the last episode, Seth. Closing line value is huge in college sports, and you're trying to find that number when it gets to its peak, and a lot of the time it's early, right? A lot of the time you see a number, and what I would say is, if you look initially at the numbers, let's say Sunday, right? You're looking at the first lines for the following week, and you think something is off. Usually I'll at least make a small wager there, and you don't have to do it every week. You don't have to do it on Sunday. You don't have to do it on Monday either. I mean, Tuesday is still early in the week, right? So betting early, if you want to wait until, usually we get some public data Monday or Tuesday to see which way this line is really going to move outside of listening to what our thoughts are, right? You can physically see where the money is going. So if you want to wait for that, that is completely understandable. But sometimes you already have a little bit of value shaved off of that game. So I would say start by doing that, maybe one game, gain your confidence on it a little bit. If it works a little bit, if you keep doing it, it's not working, then obviously move off of it. Your instincts are not correct. And that happens, right? It happens to good gamblers, to lousy gamblers, to everybody in between. You will have correlation and non-causation with it. You're just having a bad month, or a bad week, or whatever it is. So, like I said, bet early in the week. You can, the numbers that you like. If you need to wait, that's also fine. But usually the best value comes from those early lines.
Yeah, I'm in 100% agreement with you, Bogman, and I'm always trying to get the best number. I'm always trying to get that closing line value. However, it is something you got to practice as well, because there have been times when I've woken up on Saturday morning and I suddenly have a bad number that I took, the Sunday before or the Monday morning before. So always a bit of a catch-22 there, especially because early in the season and in the college football playoffs, you're often going to get some sportsbook promos later in the week as well, which can help you get some better numbers at a still pick-em price tag. So let's go to your betting strategy number 4 for beginners. What do you have, Bogman?
Let's bet quality over quantity. And this is big for new people, because, there's a lot of ways to bet quantity. There's not a ton of ways to bet quality. Parlays are great, but I think you got to set a limit and try to narrow down the games you like. Use all the stats and research you can to your advantage, right? If you have lots of games that you pick from, and this is how I do it. I look at the initial lines, I pick out the ones that I like, right? And then I start kind of nitpicking them. when I have too many, I'll start picking nits aggressively. And this is what I do as well. I mean, not everyone has to talk to an audience about their bets every week. So what I do is I look at a bet and I go, why do I look like an idiot if this is wrong? Why? And I actively try to find a reason to dislike the bet that I like. That way, when you can't find that dislike, you can't find the correlation, you go, all right, I think I was right. That's a pretty good bet, right? So I will actively hunt and try to eliminate games. Some people tier them, right? I think tiering your games could work as well. But I would focus, if you're doing parlays, don't bet these 3 games and do parlays with these 3 other teams. If you like those games, parlay the games that you like the most. And that's what I say, quantity over quality. Like, you want to be involved. You want to have a little scratch on a lot of these games, specifically ones you're going to watch. But when it boils down to it, you don't know everything about every team. So, you don't need to have the action on that Maction or whatever it is, or that, San Diego State, Utah State game because it's on at 10 p.m., right? And there's nothing else on. Like, if you like that game, that's fine. But if it's not something that you are actively like, and you have not looked and said, okay, why could I be wrong on this? Then I think you're flipping a coin more than you're gambling.
Oh, yeah. Very, very good point there, man. And I've said this a few times, but I think you should approach college football betting a lot like the dating scene as you age. Bet wagers you love, the ones you want to marry, and just leave the ones alone that you like and maybe they're fun for a date or two. Because volume betting can be good if you're always getting plus EV plays, but when you're a beginner, I think it's definitely best to focus in there and find those ones that you really, really feel strongly about, and just leave the other ones alone for the time being. So great point there. A real quick reminder that our BettingPros betting systems tool can actually help you identify or create profitable strategies that already have positive EV baked in, so you're not starting from scratch. You can customize your betting systems by sport, bet type, and time frame to find the best opportunities using real-time data and expert analysis. Track the performance of different betting systems over time and optimize your bets to increase your chances of success. Download the Betting Pros app or go to bettingpros.com/systems to elevate your betting strategy and start making smarter bets today. All right, Boggs, your number 3 best betting strategy for college football beginners is?
The amount of bets and the amount of dollars you place should grow with the season, right? And I think with the unbelievable amount of roster turnover that we have in college football, right? Every team is churning about a quarter just from graduations, right? And then you have the transfer portal, which is, doing so many shakeups, not just in your, down the bench, but on the starters as well.
Right.
That you're going to know less going into a season about teams than you have in the past because there's more moving parts on a lot of them. Obviously, that changes. That's why we look at returning production numbers and things like that. But I think for a lot of the times, specifically a quarterback change, or you're losing a massive star on defense, right? A big edge rush or something like that. You don't know about these teams. And let's just think about Michigan, right? From national title winners to a joke. Florida State took the nosedive. We had the success of Arizona State out of nowhere, seemingly, right? Like, there are things that we are just flat out missing right now. You are going to learn about these teams the first 3 weeks of the season, specifically after we get a couple conference games under the belt too. So I think your bets should bulge as the year goes. And even, it should probably bulge in the middle and then start to recede a little bit as well, because some tougher opponents are coming. You start to get weather involved, and injuries start to pile up. Guys are wearing down and wearing out. They're playing gimpy. So I think we know the most in the middle, and then, we obviously know more at the end than we knew at the beginning, but I think your bet should kind of bulge in the middle and at least grow as the season goes. So, take that with a grain of salt. Some weeks, specifically early, you're going to have like this week, I think there's 3 games I like. Obviously, there's not that many games, but I guarantee you week 1, is going to be way lighter for me than week 2,
right,
which is going to be way lighter for me than week 3, right? So I think build your bets off of what you've seen, what you've heard, what you've researched, and all that moving forward. So you should get more bets in. I know the money's burning a hole in your pocket, right? You're ready to gamble. You've been waiting on it the whole season. You want to get some action. I understand. But let's get more bets in the middle of the season than in the beginning.
Yeah, learn as you go, man. Trends will start to appear mid-season, especially when you get out of the non-con and into conference play. I think that's really when you start to figure out who is who. You mentioned Arizona State. They were a cash cow during that second half stretch in 2024. Betting the unders in Notre Dame games became very, very profitable, as did always betting Penn State to win on the money line, not always covering, but in games they should win, they usually were last season. So there are those trends that kind of start to develop halfway through the season that you can really take advantage of as a beginner gambler. Let's go ahead, Scott. Let's move to your second favorite college football betting strategy for newcomers.
Let's go with understanding that all trends or stats are not created equally, and they all need context, right? Every game to me is about something I like on the field, and then you look at the stats, you look at the trends, and you want and. You don't want because. I kind of get this from South Park, right? You watch the South Park writers. Like, you want something to add on to why you like a game. You don't want to like a game because of one stat or one trend. I think that is a big thing. Sometimes we latch on to one stat, and I'm a stats guy. This is from experience, from letting this wreck me and ruin some of my bets from it. Sometimes I like to latch on to one stat, and that's my stat, and that's why I like this game. But it should be something that you recognize with these teams, and then you look the stats up, and the stats confirm your gut feeling or your bias in your brain. So to me, let's look at those stats and listen. Every comma in a stat should mean you respect it a little bit less, right? Or a trend. Some are habits. Some are like, if the trend is Penn State hasn't allowed 24 points at home against conference opponents for the last 3 seasons, whatever. I'm making up a stat, right? Well, that's a really good trend to have. That's recent. It's over 3 seasons, and it's specifically for Penn State. If it's on the road, night games in September,
right.
Who cares? We are cherry picking that number. So the more broad the number, the more trustable it is, of course, and the more commas, the less respect you should have for a trend or a stat, or a saying or a cliche or anything like that. The more commas, the more decimals you have to add in there, and it's finding what you respect and what you know to be true. That is a habit versus what is a nice trend to talk about. So,
yeah, and I'm a huge stats and trends guy as well, and the thing you have to keep in mind with college football, even looking back at historical matchups head-to-head, there's so much turnover. There's coaching changes left and right in college football, and sometimes there are other ways to get to your conclusion of how a game's going to play out without even including stats and trends that can support your theory. So some stats also will vary early on in the season because of the varying level of competition, right? I mean, we saw Tennessee, Nico Alamali-Olive last year had an absolute stunner of a first game where everyone thought he was the next coming, and turns out that I think he had more touchdowns in that game than maybe he did the rest of the season combined, right? So
you call him Olive Garden? Iamaliava.
There we go.
Iamaliava.
Iamali-Olive. Still can't get that one. Maybe next year. Now that he's in the Big Ten, maybe I'll show him a little bit of love. But Nico. I do agree with you. If there's one or two stats, Bogman, that you can quickly highlight, like what are some of your favorite stats to consider as we get further into the season?
I mean, I like grades more than stats, like unit ratings,
okay.
Right? More than stats. So I like grades and, just kind of how these units are working together. And that a big one for me is like when I see a bad O-line against a good D-line, that's going to be a long day for that offense. Like, even if the offense is kind of humming and clicking, if that D-line is going to overwhelm them, they're not going to have a lot of room to move. So, that we were talking earlier about, the K-State secondary taking a bath, but I don't know that Iowa State is good enough to take advantage of it. You know what I mean? So I think it's those things specifically with K-State and Iowa State. Again, we'll use another one of those where Iowa State couldn't stop the run last year, and we have a run-heavy team in Kansas State. So, like, those running stats in a thing that I already know is a mismatch, that's an and. That's not a because.
Sure.
So those are the things that I'm talking about.
Okay, well, let's push past the endless breadsticks and the salad, and let's get to the main course with your top number 1 overall college football sports betting strategy for beginners, Boggs.
Look, bet what you know and leave the rest alone. You don't have any business betting that MAC game that you haven't watched just to have some scratch on it. The night game, all those things. I think it's so important to reiterate that is bad process. If you want to bet and you want it to be fun, you want to win, right? Just have some process and build it and refine it, right? Because if you're betting things you don't know, you may as well be guessing heads or tails, honestly. So it's not taking another bet because I'm hot. It's not getting a little scratch to make this game interesting. You can do that. You can do that to make a game interesting, to put some money on it, but at least do a little research on it first. Or, listen to a system you like or an analyst you like or whatever. Someone is hot, you're following him. I'm cold, you're tailing me. You're fading me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't just, I'll take Buffalo. Here's $10. It's a terrible process. So will it make the game more fun for you? Sure, but it'll aggravate the crap out of you when you lose. So do a little bit of research, find your process, refine it, keep getting a little bit better if you want to do this on a serious level. For some people, it's just entertainment, and you have your 10 units you can burn throughout the season. You're going to see how long it can last you, and you'll be done after that, and that's fine. But if you want it to be more fun, you would like to win money, you'd like to enjoy your time a little bit more, I think you just do a little bit of research on top, listen to a couple things, read a couple things, and just don't get in on something and don't add things to your parlays. Like, again, the whole message should be bet what you know, leave the rest alone.
Yep, and it's okay to not bet sometimes, right? Like,
100% anytime.
Yeah.
If you don't feel good about it, you don't feel great about it, don't bet it. That should be your, whatever your level is. Find where your level is and go, just not good enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different factors that can cause you to come off a game, whether it's weather, whether it's injuries, whether it's just a tough matchup that's hard to find an edge in. Like I often find my edge in the group of 6, but that does not come without a lot of research, scouring the crevices of the internet for...
You watch them. You watch those games, Seth.
Exactly.
So you have seen it, right?
Right.
And you're adding on top. You're not coming to a random Wednesday and going, let's get this CUSA game on because you like Sam Houston State. You researched that. You looked at it. Right. You didn't just go, I like Sam Houston State. WKU sucks, right? Like, that's not your reasoning. So, yes, just dig a little bit and refine your process and get better at it and bet what you know. Leave the rest alone every time.
Also, don't appreciate the stray that the Buffalo Bulls just caught out of your mouth as well, because I got a nice little opening line value 8-1 for them to win the MAC this year, and they're about down to 4 or 5-1. So a little CLV there in the futures market as well. That's another strategy bonus tip for you guys. However you're betting this college football season, though, make sure you're doing it with the BettingPros app, where you can track line movement in real time. Download the free BettingPros app for iOS and Android. And with Sportsbook Sync, you can automatically track your bets across all major sportsbooks in just one spot. Easily monitor your bet performance by sport and bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. Create custom betting systems to find winning trends and profitable opportunities. Get a 7-day free trial of BettingPros Premium by downloading the app at bettingpros.com/apps and using the promo code JUICE and activating your trial on the upgrade screen. All right, and that's going to do it for us on this episode of the BettingPros College Football Show. Let us know down in the comments below your favorite college football betting strategies that we didn't hit on. And while you're here, make sure you're smashing that like button and subscribing if you're new. For Scott Bogman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Take care, y'all.